Hello again. Welcome to another edition of Kopi Chats with me, your host Waylene. Good evening. This late night edition from me today. I'm going to talk about news as usual from around my part of the world here in Singapore and Southeast Asia. If you're new here, as usual, check out the show notes below where you can click on the timestamp to jump to any section that interests you, or you can just like the regulars sit back, relax, and go through all the interesting stuff fit to talk about on the internet one by one. So here we go. First thing on the agenda tonight. So Russia's in a huge amount of trouble. Tech professionals today are probably the most mobile, most valuable workers. And one estimate claims that 200,000 Russians have already left Russia since the war. And is that here? I think it might be on the BBC. Yes, here we go. 200,000 has already left the war. Left the country. I saw elsewhere that the state news agency Interfax reports that 50 to 70,000 tech professionals have already left, and with a second wave of 70 to 100,000 leaving soon. Now, typically I would say that that's an opportunity for countries like Singapore to vacuum up these extremely valuable workers, because that's what Singapore does and does very well, always attracting talent from around Southeast Asia to live and work in Singapore. Also in attracting big companies, global MNCs to invest in Singapore, which makes for a great match. But in this case, that's highly unlikely because Singapore has chosen to sanction Russia, so that opportunity may have passed. It would be very inconvenient, maybe impossible for the Russians to get flights to Singapore currently. It's just too bad because that's a lot of very capable tech talent. Too bad. Now, Russia, on the other hand, is fully aware of this problem and has waived call-ups, the draft for tech professionals. You can see here, Russia will waive conscription for computer programmers in an effort to staunch a brain drain. And you can see here, it's a huge amount, 170,000 IT specialists. So as I mentioned earlier here, the figures. I will put all of these links in the show notes. You can click on them to read more if you like. So related to this, we all know a brain drain is an issue, right, for developing countries. Now, did you know that China became the most favored destination for internationally mobile publishing scientists, as it says here? So these are clearly the top scientists in the world, top in their field, internationally mobile. They can live anywhere they want, get a job anywhere they want, and they're published and publishing. They're still active in their work, in their field. So, did you know? Yeah, China was the most favored destination. You can see it right here. The yellow bar is the highest in 2020. Yeah, 2020 is all yellow. How is that? How is that the case in 2020? I don't understand. I don't quite understand it, but it's pretty remarkable. And looks like, check out the United States here, went from being a huge attractor of science talent to losing a lot of its attractiveness over here. And you can see here EU 27. I don't really know what that means. Must be a set of 27 countries. It wasn't exactly clear from this very short update. Yeah, but you can see here, some typical figures you'd expect to see. India has always been losing talent. It's always been the case. Brazil as well. France, Italy, Korea, Japan, to a lesser extent. It's always somewhat been like that. But the big drop is for the US, and the big jump is for the United States. No, China, sorry. And the UK has also saw a large outflow, having been a net importer in 2015. So the world sure changes really quickly. Now, I wonder how much of the change in the figures that we saw was actually due to Chinese scientists returning to China. I would guess a lot. I would guess a lot. Because to the best of my knowledge, China is not the destination for top scientists in many, many fields. I don't think you'll find a lot of Nobel Prize winners, actively pursuing their research. Or at least, Nobel Prize winners tend to be much older. Their Nobel Prize the peak of their careers. But so let's say people who are in contention for an upcoming Nobel Prize. I've never really heard of a lot of Nobel Prize contenders or a lot of top research coming out of China. So I would guess that it's a lot of Chinese scientists returning to China. Now, by the time of the next report, though, could you guess which countries will have seen the most talent head out the door? Just guess. With everything that we know today, my guess is China and Russia. And China is still having COVID, and their situation is very unstable because they're having flare-ups, and vaccinations have not been as comprehensive, and I don't think they've been nearly as effective as they need to be. And if, just this week, news is that Shanghai is undergoing some lockdowns, their biggest city, and one of those cities that is the last one that you want to have any kind of lockdown. And Russia, well, the situation in Russia just speaks for itself. So this might look very different again by the time the next report rolls around. All right, moving on to something very, very much in my backyard in Singapore. Here we go. I saw this commentary recently, just a few days ago, by these two gentlemen, Sumit Agarwal and Chua Yao Hui, professors respectively at, I think, what is this? Let's see. Professor of Finance, Economics, and Real Estate at NUS Business School, and research fellow at Nanyang Technological University, also from the Stanford Graduate School of Business. So, Assistant Secretary of the Economic Society of Singapore. So why did I want to show you their credentials? Because immediately from the title, if I studied economics just at the undergrad level, so I'm not anywhere near as qualified as these two gentlemen. But even I find that this article headline makes absolutely no sense. None. And allow me to explain. This is an anti-consumer editorial, anti-consumer commentary. It's essentially saying, let me help you poors because you don't know how to help yourselves. Now let me show you what I mean. It's highlighted, that there are growing concerns that this work as a delivery driver offers little in way of protection or way out of precarity, and proposes several interventions to support platform workers, including incentivizing CPF contributions, a rest period policy to nudge drivers to rest, giving assistance to help workers pivot to new careers. Kind of presumptuous to think, maybe they not happy, or educating them on the realities of platform work. So isn't that very presumptuous? They are the people doing the work, and then somebody comes in to tell them, let me educate you on the realities of platform work. Let me educate you because you, poor little delivery rider, what do you know about your own life, your chosen career? You don't know anything. Let me, the professor, help you out there. It's just so patronizing. That's if you think that's bad, no. We're not even there yet. Look at this. What is this? Deliveries are far too cheap and convenient. What does that even mean? Deliveries cost far too little, and platform workers are far too unproductive. Platform workers are not maximizing their full potential per trip. If the order is a single cup of bubble tea, platform workers are not maximizing their full potential. You have so much potential, truly. Why are you just delivering one item when you could do so much more? So much more. Let's see. So I don't wanna hammer these two gentlemen too hard. See, but let me just get to the point. So it's common sight to see, let's see, waiters, the riders waiting around for orders to be completed. So they say, we should increase the productivity of workers. How can we increase productivity? Yeah, how could we do that? One way is to increase the value of goods that they transport per trip. Wow, and that means doing away with extreme convenience as a default. You know what that means? It means that they're advocating to take away the convenience that the consumer gets. They're saying that we want to make your experience worse, isn't it? Because if you're going to take away the extreme convenience, which I can afford, I'm not a super rich guy, but I can afford the extreme convenience. They want to do away with that. For what reason? To increase the value of good platform workers transport per trip? What does that mean? Why can't I just have it that way, right? Why not encourage a new norm of having customers order in advance, say one day ahead? That's because that's not how consumers work. That's just not it. If I want a bubble tea now, I want it now. I didn't plan it. It's almost as if the professors spent a little bit too much time in their business schools and have never had, you can tell, like, they've never actually worked in a big company. They've never had to worry about the profitability of their enterprise, because this is exactly not how the world works. Right. Let's see. What else did they say? Consumers who still crave instant delivery should then be expected to pay more, commensurate with how much they value speed. So there you go. I want to get rid of your extreme convenience, and I want you to pay more for it. Even though for right now, the companies that offer these services are content to offer these services at this price level, the professor are advocating that, we should get you to pay more because you're paying too little. How could you pay so little and get instant gratification? It just offends me. A tiered delivery system with higher delivery fees or shorter delivery times allows market forces to work. You know what also allows market forces to work? Whatever we have now. Because this is exactly market forces that led us here. Market forces led us to a situation where a regular person, not rich, regular person, even, just living in a HDB flat, totally normal, can afford extreme convenience. Such models already exist to say. We need only look at postal service or online shopping platforms which offer a range of delivery times and fees. You know where else you offer delivery times and fees that are market decided by the market? Right on these platforms that we use. So this is so. I'm clearly very irritated, but yes, I hope that I made my point. So they go on, consumers can also do more to wean themselves off cheap and convenient delivery that create the challenging conditions which platform workers face in the first place. So they're saying that, poor platform workers, you have these challenging conditions, which, I leave unspecified. I don't say what's so challenging about your condition. But it's obviously very challenging, and we have to wean these horrible customers, these regular folks, of this cheap and convenient delivery, because how dare they expect cheap and convenient delivery, right? Mr. Agarwal and Mr. Chua, how dare they expect cheap and convenient delivery? Such gall, how dare they? Now, coincidentally, there's a report right here. Underestimated and misunderstood. 9 out of 10 food delivery riders satisfied with work. We'll get to the later part later. So, just take a look at this. Black Box Research, decision science solutions advisory firm, conducted a study in 2021, and they spoke to 175 delivery riders in Singapore. So what does it say? Research showed that 99% of delivery riders have high job satisfaction and financial security, at least in their opinion, right? That's how they feel about their work. They chose to do it and they're pretty happy with it. Findings show that delivery riders value flexibility and independence that their work provides, right? Let's see. 82% of respondents noting their work offers them sufficient opportunities for career growth. And on top of that, all the 3 platforms in Singapore offer personal accident insurance for their riders free of charge. Although 74%, so out of the 175 interviewed, 74% said that they have personal accident insurance plans. So they seem pretty well protected. I mean, just on the surface of it, maybe there's some serious deficiencies that are not apparent, but at first glance, it would appear that, oh, at least the people involved feel pretty okay with what they have, right? So, what are those 2 professors thinking? I would hazard to say that this is the classic case of spending too much time in the classroom and not spending enough time out in the real world. And I may sound really harsh, but lest anyone call me a negative Nancy and say, I don't have anything constructive to contribute. Well, allow me then. I do have something to contribute. And it may not be I won't say that it is a fully fleshed out idea, but I think it's a good starting point, right? At the very least, with whatever I say, I had thought about it, and it will still allow us to enjoy cheap, convenient delivery at a touch of a button, for low prices, and it will not make the life of delivery riders worse. So, here's the first one. Remember personal mobility devices. For those outside Singapore, those are those scooters, you stand on them and they take you where you want to go really fast. They're not like a bicycle which you have to sit on. This is the one you stand on and you hold the bars. They were severely restricted in Singapore a year or 2 ago with a lot of requirements about their size, weight, maximum speed. You have to register, get a license for them, and then you can't ride them on the roads, on footpaths, and so on. You can only ride them on what they call shared paths, which is paths where bicycles are allowed to ride as well. So, since delivery riders are obviously here to stay, right? At least as for the foreseeable future, maybe this is a time for Singapore to consider bicycle lanes. So Singapore has always entertained the idea of being more bicycle friendly. It's a garden city. That Singapore prides itself on being a garden city. There's lots of greenery. Roads are well planned. But it's very costly. It's very costly, right? Because the existing road system has no allowance for bicycles. Bicycles have to be on the road together with the traffic, and nobody likes that. Some paths are shared paths, as I just mentioned already, and that means pedestrians and bicycles share those paths. But we can design it such that the footpaths are much wider, so that all footpaths become shared paths, or in places where that's not possible, perhaps we can introduce dedicated bicycle paths. And what went from a marginal idea that is, we want to do the bicycle path, but just not enough motivation, just not useful enough. Well, suddenly, it's very useful because delivery riders can also use it, and this is something, a line of work that will be around for quite a bit longer, right? That's what we could anticipate. So this would be very useful, right? Cyclists would use it, delivery riders use it. The utilization of this facility could be very high. And you know what? It increases the speed of the delivery. It improves the safety for these delivery riders. They don't have to do on the share paths with the pedestrians. They can avoid the roads which are unsafe for them. There you go. One idea. Another thing, yes, so the other thing is to introduce perhaps special licensing for the delivery riders to use these personal mobility devices. So I started on PMDs, but I went to bicycle lanes. Sorry. The other thing is, aside from bicycle lanes, is the PMDs. Perhaps delivery riders so long as they passed a test, road safety test, they can be allowed to use more powerful um, PMDs, with a higher top speed. Now, if you do that in conjunction with the bicycle lanes, perhaps that's okay because they won't be zipping around knocking over pedestrians. And also, if they do zip around, knock over pedestrians, you know what? They're licensed. We have their name on a register, right? They're wearing a uniform. You can't be a regular guy going out for a joyride on your turbocharged PMT because you have to wear your work uniform, or else everybody can tell that you're some joker and we should call the police on you, right? So there you go. Now, maybe these are not practical for any number of reasons, but I did my part, right? So I gave my criticisms and then I did my constructive part by offering potential solutions. There you go, guys. My work here is done. I'm going to move on. Now, after Singapore, on to my homeland of Malaysia. Now, in Malaysia, we have fascinating news. In Penang, the beautiful city of Penang, a Chinese clan leader. Now, this is not a gangster. This is a traditional clan association, very family friendly. Lots of people, promoting culture and ties to, ancestral familial ties to China. A Penang Chinese clan leader has been quoted saying he misses the good old days under corrupt criminal Najib, former Prime Minister Najib's leadership. Now I call him corrupt criminal because he has been convicted in court. I don't have to use that word allegedly because he has been convicted. So he is this Penang Chinese clan leader is praising a criminal. Okay, let's be very clear about that. So let's see what went on. The Federation of Malaysia Zhang Clan Association President, Mr. Anthony Chang, he said that the Chinese community missed the good old days under Najib's leadership. Let's see. Under his leadership, he says, Malaysia attained many great economic achievements. Unemployment rate plunged to new lows as everyone had a job, while the stock market recorded the world's longest bull run, I believe, not bull market. Recorded the world's longest bull run. So, sounds really fantastic, isn't it? Now, the rest of this article is not important. That's what he said, okay? And I decided to check out this. Wait. Before I get into that. Now, even if you don't like Najib, I think that there's a positive here. Malaysians always talk about eradicating race-based politics because Malaysia has been cursed with the scourge of always talking about race in politics. It's terrible, I know. And please, don't arrest me. I'm just stating that this is what happens. I'm not, for or against anybody on the basis of race. This is just what happens in Malaysia. Okay? But here we have a Chinese leader defending a disgraced Malay leader at, significant cost to their personal reputation. If we are serious about moving past racial politics, isn't this kind of praiseworthy? Isn't this kind of remarkable? Right? Because think about it. In the midst of all this, nobody cares about what's the race of the people involved. It's just local leader praises corrupt criminal. So I think this, in a twisted way, that is progress of sorts. Now, I also checked the figures that Mr. Chang mentioned. Look at this. Here's a chart from the Wall Street Journal showing what is this? Oh, yes, the Kuala Lumpur Composite Index, which tracks the overall performance of the Kuala Lumpur Stock Exchange. Mr. Najib was in power from 2009 to 2018. You can see here in 2009 there was a low point, a trough, and then since then it went on an upwards trajectory all the way until 2014-15. There was a gentle dip here from 20 2015, 2017, back up again towards the end of his tenure, 2018. So yeah, it had a pretty good run. I would say that that's true. And then to look at the other claim, which was the unemployment rate. This is the one that I think is even more important than the stock market performance. 2009, the unemployment rate was 3.69, which was a high. After many years, it seems that it was much lower since 1999. So 2009 was not a good year, 3.6%. But since then, it fell, to some very low levels, going back all the way to 1999. And then it's the lowest of all the available dates here in 2014 at 2.88. And even at the end of Mr. Najib's tenure in 2018, it was still at a very reasonable 3.3%. Now, since then, it's gone up tremendously, but bear in mind that this data is from 2020. This 4.55 is from 2020, when we had the pandemic and everything was just messed up. So let's not take that way too seriously, okay? But clearly, in the years of Mr. Najib's leadership, yes, the unemployment rate was pretty respectable. So Mr. Chang from the Chinese clan, in the Chang Clan Association, was right, at least on the economic performance side, leaving aside the corruption. And I said that Mr. Chang staked his personal reputation on his claims, and let me show you that sure enough, he was publicly criticized. The Penang Chinese Chamber of Commerce, not to be confused with the Chang Clan Association, which was the other organization, the president of this organization rejected the notion that the Chinese community welcomed former Prime Minister Najib to Penang. He said, now what did he say? How could he, Chang from the other side, from the Chang Clan Association, how could he represent us? PCCC, which is this organization up here, has a history of over 100 years and more than 10,000 members. Almost all business people here are our members. They are not his members, meaning the Chang Clan members. We will not invite nor welcome Najib to our events, nor welcome him to Penang. So yeah, as I said, Mr. Chang from earlier, indeed, he staked his personal reputation. And I think that's noteworthy. I commend his bravery, even if I don't agree with his position. I think we can all agree on that. Now, Najib reminds me of those Hollywood stars, who are caught in an affair or something, equally sordid. And all their good work is forever tarnished by their bad judgment in, some other things unrelated to the good work they did. That's just, I think that will be how we remember him, Did good work, terribly corrupt, right? I don't necessarily agree that Najib deserves a second chance. He served nearly a decade. But it's clear that people need jobs. That's just a permanent truth, right? It's always true. And the leaders in power haven't shown their capability in that respect. And I think, okay, a big part of that is due to the pandemic. Like so many other places in the world, I suppose, we can only wait and see what happens next, right? Okay, everybody. I have delivered all the material that I have prepared for this evening. Thank you very much for listening. I hope that, as usual, you enjoyed my little commentary, and it gave you a new outlook, new perspective on things. Hit the like button if I've earned that like, and more importantly, perhaps, hit subscribe. And if you subscribe, and also update that notification bell thing, then you will get the notification when I next have something new to tell you, share with you, your brain that much, buzz around that much more, tickle it around, stimulate it, and give your brain a good time. Okay, that's all I have for you today. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great evening. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye bye.